My daughter looked away when he spoke. That's the moment I knew I'd lost her. Not to love, not to marriage, but to something far more dangerous. Control dressed up as concern. And when I found the documents hidden in my own guest room, I realized she hadn't just looked away from me. She'd looked away from herself. Subscribe if this story finds you, and tell me where in the world you're watching from. The problem with you, Margaret, is that you never knew when to let go, Marcus said, leaning against my counter like he owned it. Claire's been trying to establish boundaries for months, but you keep inserting yourself into our lives. I'd stopped by to drop off some mail delivered to my address by mistake. A simple 5-minute errand that Marcus had turned into an ambush. I wasn't aware that forwarding your mail constituted insertion, I said carefully, watching my daughter's reflection in the window. She was 29 years old, a successful marketing director, a woman who'd once pitched campaigns worth millions. Now she was studying the dishes in my drying rack like they held secrets. Marcus laughed without warmth. See? That's exactly what I mean. The passive aggression. Claire's been too polite to say anything, but I'm not. We don't need you hovering around. I called first, I said. Claire told me to come by after 3. That's not the point. I turned to my daughter. Claire, is this how you feel? She finally looked at me. Her eyes were tired, ringed with dark circles. She'd lost weight. Her blazer hung loose on her shoulders. Mum, Marcus is just saying that maybe we need some space to figure things out as a couple. You understand, right? The words were hers, but the cadence wasn't. It was like watching someone lip sync to a song they'd never wanted to learn. Marcus crossed his arms. Margaret called Claire 4 times last week. She called me, I said. I have the call logs if you'd like to verify. His jaw tightened. The point is that you're always there, always ready to swoop in. Claire needs to learn to depend on her husband, not run to mommy. I looked at Claire again. Has something gotten difficult? No, she said quickly. Too quickly. Everything's fine. Marcus is right, though. Maybe I should work on being more independent. His words in her mouth. I picked up my purse. Well, I'll get out of your way. Thank you for letting me know how you feel. Claire followed me to the door, wringing her hands. Mum, don't be upset. We're not saying we don't want to see you. I turned to hug her. She felt smaller than she should have, fragile. When I pulled back, I looked into her eyes and saw something that made my chest tighten. Fear. Not of me. Of him. Claire, if you ever need anything... She won't, Marcus called from the kitchen. That's what I'm here for. And my daughter, my fierce, brilliant daughter, looked away from me and nodded. I drove home in silence. Not because I was hurt, though I was, but because I was calculating. Something was very wrong, and I needed to figure out what it was before it was too late. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my phone. 4 calls last week. I scrolled through my history. Tuesday, Claire had called crying. Wouldn't say why. Thursday, she'd asked for my old therapist's name. Saturday, she'd called about a recipe, but we'd talked for 40 minutes about nothing. Sunday, she'd asked to meet for coffee. Every single call had been her reaching out, and Marcus was rewriting the narrative, making me the intrusive mother who couldn't let go. I thought about Claire's face, the weight loss, the exhaustion, the way she'd seemed to shrink when Marcus spoke, the way she'd looked away. I'd seen this before. My college roommate whose boyfriend had slowly isolated her from everyone. My former colleague whose husband had convinced her she was incompetent. The subtle erosion of self that happened so gradually you didn't notice until the foundation crumbled. I pulled out my laptop and did what any concerned mother would do. I started researching Marcus Whitfield. Claire had met him at a conference 14 months ago. Financial consultant, she'd said. Successful, charming. He'd pursued her with flowers and expensive dinners and weekend trips. 6 months later, engaged. 2 months after that, married in a ceremony that felt rushed. I'd had concerns. The way he'd interrupted her. The way he'd made wedding decisions without consulting her. The way he'd suggested she tone down her ambition at work now that she was a wife. But Claire had seemed happy. Now I wondered what I'd missed. Marcus's LinkedIn profile was impressive. Harvard Business School, senior consultant at Whitfield and Associates. His profile picture showed a handsome man with perfect teeth and eyes that didn't smile. I searched deeper. Marcus Whitfield news. Nothing significant. Then I tried Marcus Whitfield and Charlotte, which Claire had mentioned he'd lived in before. The first result made my breath catch. A 3-year-old article. Marcus Whitfield arrested in a domestic dispute. Charges dropped when the complainant declined to press charges. I kept searching. Found a restraining order from Richmond, Virginia. Marcus Whitfield named, filed by Jennifer Morrison. Order expired after 1 year. This could be a different Marcus Whitfield, but the age matched, the location timeline matched, and the pattern matched. I picked up my phone and called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Kathleen Park, a private investigator I'd worked with when I was still practicing law. Margaret Hartley, I was wondering if I'd ever hear from you again. I need a favor, Kathleen, a personal one. I told her everything. The confrontation, the articles I'd found. Kathleen listened without interrupting. Give me a week, she said. I'll find out everything about Marcus Whitfield. Kathleen called back in 4 days. Margaret, we need to meet. There are things you need to see. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Kathleen arrived with a folder and laptop. Marcus Whitfield, born Marcus Wilkins in Pittsburgh, 1986, changed his name legally 8 years ago after settling a fraud case. Embezzlement from his employer. She showed me court documents, the name change, the sealed settlement. After that, he moved to Richmond. That's where he met Jennifer Morrison. The restraining order. Yes, Jennifer talked to me. Marcus isolated her from friends and family, convinced her she was incompetent. When she tried to leave, he threatened her, showed up everywhere. She finally got the order after he broke into her apartment. My hands were shaking. After Richmond, he moved to Charlotte. Different name, Marcus Whitmore. Woman named Jessica Mitchell. She filed a police report claiming he shoved her. She recanted and moved to California. Her sister says Jessica is still terrified of him. How many? 3 I can confirm, including Claire. But Margaret, there's something else. She pulled out financial records. Whitfield and Associates is barely solvent. It's a shell. He does minimal consulting work. The BMW, leased, the condo, he's 3 months behind. How is he paying for anything? I was hoping you could tell me. Has Claire mentioned her finances? I thought back. She said they opened a joint account when they married. She was excited about combining finances. Does Claire have savings? Yes, her father's life insurance. I invested it when she was 16. Last I checked, around $380,000. Kathleen nodded slowly. Margaret, I think Marcus has been accessing Claire's accounts. His rent gets paid a week after their wedding. His car lease gets current. That money is coming from Claire. The coffee shop felt too hot. She wouldn't just give him that money. She knows what he's told her. Men like Marcus are experts. He's probably convinced her that combining finances means he manages everything. I thought about Claire asking for my therapist's name, the exhaustion, the way she parroted his words. What do I do? First, document everything. Second, find out what's happening with Claire's finances. If Marcus is stealing from her, we need proof. Third, be careful. Men like Marcus don't let go easily. If he thinks Claire is pulling away, he could become dangerous. I remembered Jennifer Morrison's story, the break-in, the fear that lasted years. I can't watch him destroy her. I'm not suggesting you do. I'm suggesting you be strategic. We build a case she can't deny. Court records, financial proof, testimony. We present it to her in a way that makes her feel safe enough to leave. And if she doesn't believe me, then we make sure she knows you're there when she's ready. But Margaret, Claire is already reaching out. Those phone calls asking about therapy, she's trying to find her way back. She just needs help seeing the exit. I took the folder. It was heavy with Marcus's secrets, with the lives he'd damaged. After Kathleen left, I pulled out my phone and texted Claire. Thinking about you. Love you always. She replied 10 minutes later. Love you too, Mum. 3 words. A lifeline across dark water. The next morning, I called my former law partner, Richard Moss. Margaret, what's going on? I explained carefully, leaving out the most damning details, just enough for his professional opinion. You're talking about financial abuse, Richard said. It's as serious as physical abuse. If Marcus has access to Claire's accounts and is draining them without her consent, that's theft. But proving it is complicated if Claire signed documents giving him access. What would I need? Bank statements, account logs, documentation of where the money went. The problem is getting that documentation. You can't request your adult daughter's records. What if she gave me access? Then you'd need her permission, preferably in writing. Margaret, does Claire know you're looking into this? No. Be careful. If Marcus finds out, he could isolate Claire further or convince her to cut contact entirely. He's already working on that. Then you're running out of time. Find a reason to talk to Claire alone. Show her what you found. Give her the choice to look at her finances. After hanging up, I thought about approaches. I couldn't show up at her door. I couldn't call without risk of Marcus monitoring. Then I remembered. Next Saturday was my late husband David's birthday. Every year since he died, Claire and I visited his grave together. We'd bring flowers, sit on the grass, talk, sacred time, just the two of us. Marcus had never tried to come. I texted Claire. Saturday, 10 a.m., Dad's grave. Her response came quickly. I'll be there. No hesitation. This was ours. I spent the next days preparing. I made copies of everything Kathleen had given me, organized it chronologically, wrote a timeline of Marcus's relationships, his name change, his pattern. I also wrote a letter to my daughter. Claire, I see a brilliant woman who's forgetting how brilliant she is. I see someone making herself smaller to fit someone else's expectations. I see my daughter, who once told a room of executives they were wrong and proved it, now apologizing for things that aren't her fault. I don't know what's happening in your marriage, but I know this. You are not the problem. You have never been the problem, and whatever is happening, you don't have to face it alone. I'm here. I'll always be here. Love, Mum. Saturday morning arrived cool and overcast. I got to the cemetery early. At 9:55, Claire's car pulled in. She was alone. Thank God. She carried white roses, David's favourite. We walked to his grave together. The headstone was simple, just his name and dates, and the line from Frost he'd loved. In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. We laid the flowers down and sat on the grass in comfortable silence. I'm sorry about last week, Claire said finally. The way Marcus spoke to you wasn't okay. You don't need to apologize for him. I know, but I should have said something. I just didn't want to make it worse. Worse how? She was quiet. We've been fighting lately about small things. I'll forget to do something the way he wants, or I'll make plans without checking first. He says I'm not respecting our partnership. She laughed hollowly. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. That sounds exhausting. It is. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Mom, I don't know what's wrong with me. I used to be so confident. Now I second guess everything. Marcus says I've always been like this, that I just hid it better. He says he's the only one who sees the real me. Claire, look at me. I waited until she met my eyes. The real you is brilliant and strong and capable. The real you has never needed anyone to manage your life. Then why do I feel so lost? Because someone is working very hard to make you feel that way. She blinked. What do you mean? This was it. I pulled the folder from my bag. Claire, I need to show you something, and I need you to listen with an open mind. She looked at the folder, then at me. What is that? Information about Marcus, his past, things he hasn't told you. Her expression closed off. Mum, no. I'm not going to listen to you bash my husband. I'm not bashing him. I'm showing you facts, public records, police reports. I opened the folder. Did Marcus tell you his name used to be Marcus Wilkins? Claire frowned. What? He changed it legally 8 years ago after settling a fraud case. Did he mention that? You're making that up. I handed her the documents, the name change petition, the sealed settlement. I watched her read, saw her hands start shaking. This doesn't mean anything, she said, but her voice wavered. Maybe not, but Claire, there's more. I showed her the articles about Jennifer Morrison, the restraining order, the police report from Charlotte. Marcus has a pattern, 3 relationships before you, all with similar stories. Charming courtship, quick commitment, then isolation and control. Each woman thought she was the problem. Claire was crying. You don't understand. Marcus loves me. Love doesn't make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Love doesn't require you to make yourself smaller. And love doesn't involve lying about your past. She stared at the documents. Why are you showing me this? Because I love you. And because I think Marcus is stealing from you. Her head snapped up. What? I pulled out the financial analysis. Marcus's business is failing. He's behind on rent and car payments. But right after your wedding, everything gets paid current. Claire, when did you give Marcus access to your accounts? We combined our finances when we got married. He said it was easier if he managed everything. Have you looked at your accounts since then? No. Marcus sends me monthly summaries. He says I don't need to worry about details. Claire, I need you to check your accounts Right now. This is crazy. Marcus wouldn't steal from me. Then prove me wrong. Show me your accounts are fine. She hesitated, then pulled out her phone. I watched her navigate to her bank app. Watched her face as the numbers loaded. All the color drained from her cheeks. This can't be right, she whispered. I had almost $400,000. There's less than $30,000. Check the transaction history. She scrolled through, hands shaking. These aren't mine. Car payments, rent, credit cards I don't have, cash withdrawals. There's a $15,000 charge to a jewelry store. She looked at me, eyes wild. Mom, what did he do? He did what he's done before. He gained your trust, got access to your money, and drained your accounts. Claire stood abruptly. I need to talk to him. I grabbed her arm gently. Claire, think. If you confront him now, what will he do? He'll explain. Or he'll convince you that you're overreacting, that you gave him permission, that you're paranoid, and then he'll make sure you never see those accounts again. She pulled away. You don't know him like I do. But I know his pattern. Jennifer Morrison said when I asked her what advice she'd give someone in your situation, she said, run. Don't confront him, just run. Because the moment he knows you're questioning him, he becomes dangerous. Claire was crying harder. I married him. How could I be so stupid? You're not stupid. You fell in love with someone who was very good at pretending. That's not your fault. What do? I pulled out the letter and a business card for Richard Moss. First, read this. Then decide what you want. If you want to leave, I'll help you. But Claire, whatever you choose, please don't go back alone. Come stay with me tonight. Just one night. Give yourself time to think. She took the letter and card, staring at them. He's going to be so angry. That's exactly why you need to leave. Claire read the letter there, sitting on the grass next to her father's grave. Her shoulders shook with sobs. When she finished, she looked at the headstone. Dad would know what to do. Your dad would say you're braver than you think, and stronger than you know, and that no one gets to make you feel small. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll stay with you, just tonight. We stood together. Claire gathered the roses, holding them like a talisman. Mum, thank you for not giving up on me. Never, I said. Not in a million years. Monday morning, Claire met with Richard Moss. When she emerged from his office, she looked shell-shocked but determined. He's filing emergency motions to freeze the accounts and preparing restraining order paperwork if we need it. We went to the bank next. Claire signed paperwork to open a new account and transfer her remaining funds. By noon, she'd secured her finances and started the legal process. I keep waiting for him to figure it out, she said over lunch. Every time my phone rings, I think this is it. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and went pale. He's asking when I'll be home. Says he's leaving work early to take care of me. Tell him you're at my house because you don't want him to catch whatever you have. She typed the message. Marcus's response was immediate. I don't get sick. I'll come get you after work. He's coming to your house. What do? We go there first. You rest in the guest room. I'll deal with Marcus. We drove to my house. Claire settled in the guest room while I prepared. I positioned my phone on the kitchen counter, ready to record. Marcus arrived at 3:30, carrying soup and wearing concern that didn't reach his eyes. Margaret, how is she? Resting. She just fell asleep. I'll just check on her. He moved to step inside. I didn't move from the doorway. She needs sleep more than soup. His smile tightened. I'd prefer to see my wife. She asked not to be disturbed. She said that? Funny because she didn't mention it in her texts. Maybe because she knew you'd insist on coming anyway. We stared at each other. I could see calculation in his eyes. Margaret, I don't know what you said to Claire on Saturday, but she's been acting strange. Distant. I hope you're not putting ideas in her head. What kind of ideas? About our marriage, about me. He stepped closer. Claire and I are very happy. We don't need interference. If you're so happy, why does she look terrified every time your name appears on her phone? Marcus's mask dropped for a second. I saw rage flash across his face. Then he controlled it. I don't know what Claire has told you, but she has a tendency to exaggerate, to be dramatic. I've noticed she's become a shadow of herself since she married you. Or maybe she's finally being honest about who she's always been. An insecure woman who needs guidance. He smiled coldly. She's not as capable as you think. She needs someone to make decisions for her. By stealing her money? The words were out before I could stop them. Marcus went very still. Excuse me? Claire's savings. The money you've been draining since the wedding. Whatever Claire's told you is a misunderstanding. I'm managing our finances with her consent. Show me the documentation, the statements, the records showing she agreed. I don't have to show you anything. You're not part of our marriage. No, but Richard Moss is part of it now. Claire's attorney, the one who filed emergency motions this morning to freeze your access and investigate where $350,000 disappeared to. I watched Marcus process this. The charming mask cracked completely. You have no idea what you've done, he said quietly. Claire is my wife. She belongs to me. And if you think a few bank accounts and a lawyer are going to change that, you're stupider than I thought. Get off my property. Claire is not your daughter anymore. She's my wife. And when I'm done with this divorce, she'll have nothing. The divorce you didn't know about until now? The one Claire is filing because you're an abusive thief? I pulled out my phone, showing him the recording app. Want to add anything else? The judge would love to hear it. Marcus's hands curled into fists. Then he turned and walked to his car, moving stiffly. This isn't over, he called. Tell Claire she can't hide forever. I locked the door and called the police. They arrived 20 minutes later. I showed them the recording. This is threatening behavior, the officer said. We can file a report, but unless he makes a specific threat of violence, we can't do much more. What about a restraining order? Your daughter would need to file. Based on what you've told me, she'd have grounds. After the police left, I went to Claire. She was sitting on the guest bed, tears on her face. I heard everything, she said. I recorded it too. Good. We'll need that. Mum, he said I belong to him, like I'm property. Her voice broke. How did I marry someone who thinks of me that way? Because he hid it until he didn't need to anymore. I can't go back there. Then you don't. We'll hire movers for your things. You stay here where it's safe. That night, I set the house alarm, checked all the locks twice. I couldn't shake the look on Marcus's face when he'd realized Claire was leaving, the look of a man who'd just lost control. Friday came quickly. The restraining order hearing was at 10 a.m. Richard met us at the courthouse with his briefcase full of evidence. I've got everything. The hidden cameras, financial documents, police reports from his previous victims. But when we walked into the courtroom, Marcus wasn't there. If he doesn't show, the judge will issue the order by default, Richard said. At 10:15, the judge entered. Still no Marcus. She reviewed our petition, listened to Claire's testimony about the financial abuse, the surveillance, the control. Based on the evidence presented and the respondent's failure to appear, I'm granting a temporary restraining order, the judge said. Mr. Whitfield is prohibited from contacting Ms. Hartley or coming within 500 feet of her residence or workplace. A permanent hearing is scheduled for 30 days from now. Claire exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. We left the courthouse and went to lunch, the first real meal I'd seen Claire eat in months. It's over, she said, though she didn't sound entirely convinced. The restraining order is in place, the divorce paperwork is filed. Your money is protected, you're safe. Then why don't I feel safe? Because trauma doesn't disappear with a court order. Because men like Marcus leave marks that take time to heal. But I said, you will. Give it time. The divorce took 6 months. Marcus fought it at first, claiming Claire was mentally unstable and influenced by me. But Richard presented the evidence systematically, the stolen money, the hidden cameras, Jennifer Morrison's testimony, Jessica Mitchell's sister's testimony. The judge wasn't impressed. Marcus was ordered to repay every penny he'd stolen, with interest. He was also charged with fraud and illegal surveillance. The criminal trial was scheduled for next year. Claire moved into her own apartment after 3 months with me. Small, bright, hers. She started therapy, reconnected with friends Marcus had driven away. Slowly, I watched my daughter come back to herself. One evening, she came over for dinner. We sat on my back porch with wine and watched the sunset. I've been thinking about that day at Dad's grave, she said. When you showed me all those documents, part of me wanted to hate you for it, for shattering the illusion. I know. But you saved my life, Mom. If you hadn't pushed, I'd still be there, still shrinking, still disappearing. She looked at me. How did you know? Because you looked away when he spoke. My fierce, brilliant daughter who never looked away from anything suddenly couldn't meet my eyes. I took her hand. That's when I knew I'd lost you. And I decided I was going to do whatever it took to get you back. Claire cried then. Not sad tears, but something else. Relief, maybe, or release. I'm sorry I put you through this, she said. Don't apologize, you survived. That's what matters. We sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned pink and gold. After a while, Claire spoke again. Jennifer Morrison called me last week. She said she's proud of me, that not everyone gets away. You both got away, that takes courage. She also said something else. She said the best revenge isn't making them pay. It's becoming everything they tried to prevent you from being. I smiled. Jennifer's a smart woman. So I've decided to go back to school, get my MBA, maybe start my own firm. She looked at me. I'm done making myself smaller for anyone. Your dad would be proud. What about you? I'm already proud. I've been proud of you since the day you were born. The sun finished setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and deep blue. My daughter sat beside me, whole again, scarred but healing, cautious but hopeful. And for the first time in months, when she smiled, it reached her eyes. Marcus tried to contact Claire a few times after the divorce finalized. Emails from new accounts, flowers sent to her office with notes saying he still loved her. Each time, she forwarded them to the police. Each time, he was reminded of the restraining order. Eventually, he stopped. The last I heard, he'd moved to another state. Changed his name again, probably. Looking for his next victim, most likely. But Claire was no longer that victim. She was a survivor. A woman who'd looked into the face of control and manipulation and said no. She was my daughter again, and that was worth everything. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.